A whole lot of mountain life not far from the city. Today we are in Evergreen, Colorado. When the conversation turns to why are you moving to Colorado? What kind of lifestyle do you want? For a lot of people, a big dose of the Colorado lifestyle is high on their list. Being close to hiking, having easy access to trails, being close to the mountains for skiing, being very near to nature, and of course, having nice views. All of that tops the list for many, many people. Of course, in the dream world, most people still want to be very close to Denver, have great access to the airport. When you put all that together, there aren't too many places that fit the bill. Well, Evergreen is one of them. Hey everybody, it's Alyson Wahl with Live South Denver, your real estate strategist and realtor for the South Denver area. We're doing a short series on Evergreen to figure out if it's a good option, the right option. Let's dig in, see if it's the perfect fit. First off, where is Evergreen? You can see right here on this map, it is west of Denver, up in the foothills, pretty much straight out I-70. It's about 7,200 feet above sea level, so it is definitely a bump up above the 5,280 where Denver sits. With it being a straight shot out I-70, it makes getting in and out of Denver pretty easy, except for those slow and trudging last few miles right in and around the city, particularly around traffic hour. Depending on when you're heading into the city, getting into Denver from Evergreen takes about 35 to 50 minutes. So that depends on traffic, your lead foot, weather, lots of other factors, but that's a good general guideline. Lakewood is another useful spot to know on the map if you're considering Evergreen, because Lakewood is where lots of big shopping is. It's where the Whole Foods is. It's where the hospital is. Getting over to Lakewood generally takes about 25 minutes. Now the outlets are closer. They sit a little more west than some of the other spots in Lakewood. When it comes to getting out for skiing, you have several options. There are smaller, more local-oriented ski resorts. You've got Loveland, you've got Eldora. If you're going to the big ones, you want Breck, you want Vail, you want Copper, you're still only about an hour away. But you could certainly get into these smaller resorts, Echo Mountain. You can get in and out of those and do nearly a full day of skiing while the kids are in school and no one would know the wiser. Lifestyle-wise, Evergreen certainly leans more mountain town than it does suburb or city, but it manages to do all that without feeling way too rural. The grocery stores up here include a Walmart, a Safeway, a King Soopers, and a Natural Grocers, so you certainly have choice there. With all those stores offering organic foods and covering what most people need for dietary needs, you don't have to leave Evergreen to get most of what you're going to need grocery-wise, and there is a farmer's market that runs from June to September every Tuesday from 10 to 2. So what about schools? Even if you don't have kids, most people care about the school district that their house, which is often a big investment, is going to be in. Evergreen is in the Jefferson County School District. Evergreen is an area in strong demand. That often means that the schools are going to be ranked very well. The families are going to be involved. The folks in town care about what the school district looks like. When we look at greatschools.org and see how the schools are ranked, here's what we see. The elementary schools were ranked 6 and above. The 3 middle schools were ranked 3, 6, and 6. And there are 2 high schools. One was ranked a 5 and one was ranked a 10. So if schools matter, you do get assigned to a school based on where your home is purchased. It may matter where in town you purchase your home, so you do have to take that into account as well. The Jefferson County school system on the whole has enough seats for more than 90,000 students. However, they currently have fewer than 70,000 students in the district. There are talks and some plans underway to shrink the school system, shrink the number of buildings, predominantly at the lower level, the elementary school level, to bring their head count and their buildings and seats in alignment. I don't know what they may have planned for Evergreen, so always keep in touch, keep your pulse on what is going on with potential schools in the areas that you're looking. That's true everywhere. Also, if you're looking for charter schools or private schools, there are those options in Evergreen as well. We are going to talk homes, average prices, sizes, and all of that and more, but first we're going to dig into Evergreen a little bit more. One of the things people worry about is if it's too much of a vibe change, lifestyle change to move to Evergreen. It's not too often that folks are moving from an already slightly rural outskirts area, coming to Colorado and then looking at Evergreen. More often than not, they're coming from the city, coming from a larger area and wanting the Colorado lifestyle, a lifestyle change, and then trying to figure out if they can handle the jump, the leap Things like, will it feel slow? Will there be any culture? Will they miss the city? I think folks picture themselves living in the woods, dressed up in flannel, chopping their own wood, and never having a reason to dress up and go to the city again. Now, just to be fair, if you do picture yourselves living in the woods, dressed in flannel, chopping woods, and never going to the city again, that is totally doable up here. So you absolutely can. And there are some surrounding foothills towns where you can do that too. But if you just want to get away, still feel like you live in the city, but you're not right in the mix, this is probably a good place for us to start chatting about. Everything is really on a smaller scale in Evergreen than it is in the city. You have a little bit less traffic. There are shorter drives between home and work, home and school, home and trail, super important one right there. The community is smaller. There are fewer big box stores. Well, I will say not everything is on a smaller scale. There is the acreage, the foothills, the trees, the wildlife encounters. Those are a little bit more epic up here. The folks who have called Evergreen home for decades have built up quite a culture for themselves. They have started the Evergreen Fine Arts Festival. That's been running for 56 plus years. There is an entire Facebook page up here that is dedicated to all the other arts festivals that go on too. Evergreen has their own chamber orchestra as well, so you don't have to run down to Denver if you love classical music. Evergreen really is its own destination point. People from all over the Front Range come up here to hang out. They come up here for brunch at Blackbird or Wildflower cafes. They come up here to go to the spa at Tallgrass. They come up here to go to Evergreen Lake to go paddle boarding, or come up here in the winter to go ice skating on Evergreen Lake. They come up here to spend the day shopping and going into the boutiques like Sweetwater or Mountain Home. So living here and being bored is probably not going to be your problem unless you're someone who absolutely positively never visits the same place twice. If you're anything like my husband and I, who visit probably one of the same 3 coffee shops on our morning dates each week, or figure out what your favorite restaurant is, and then after a while eat probably the same meal there because it is your favorite and nothing else tops it, you're gonna be just fine here. All right, let's button up this video because we're gonna talk housing in the next one in this series. One of the things we haven't talked about here yet is, what is cell coverage like? What is internet coverage like? Well, if you're out in the back roads, if you're going into some of the more rural areas, tree areas, acreage areas, cell coverage is probably gonna stink, but Xfinity internet covers 97 to 99% of the homes out here, which means you can get high-speed internet. That makes the working from home component easy. And that's a big deal because Colorado is one of the top remote work from home states. And when you're moving here, it's often because the employer you're already working with is letting you work from home and you want to live in Colorado. So it is doable here. So when you're leveraging that work from home lifestyle, what are you possibly doing? Well, the Evergreen Parks and Rec District is home to over 230 miles of hiking and biking trails. And in the winter, you can make those snowshoeing trails. They also manage the Evergreen Lake and Lake House and 2 rec centers. I will tell you, 2 rec centers for a town this size is pretty epic. Parker only has 1 rec center. Highlands Ranch, which is one big HOA, has 4 rec centers. They're about the only spot in all of the Metro Denver area that's that densely populated with rec centers. I've glossed over and lightly mentioned wildlife encounters while you are living in spaces that are more rural like this. You have to watch out for wildlife. You're gonna have your trash cans always put away out here. Bears love to forage for easy food. That's one that would probably make sense, right? You would think about that. Your neighbors will tell you about that. Right now, we're in the fall. This is early October. Well, September, October, it's elk rut season. The bull elks are calling their harem. They're all about maintaining their dominance, and they are challenging other bull elk. Well, sometimes they're challenging anything that's large. There is actually a local Facebook page up here about elk sightings, and I was just scrolling through it again the other day, and the bull elks were challenging big trucks going down the road. Doesn't really matter. If they are feeling it, they're feeling it. So you do have to be watchful for yourselves. Do not get too close to the wildlife, and you have to keep your eyes peeled. We all enjoy seeing the deer, the elk, the occasional moose, and the bear if they're far enough away. I'm assuming if you want to live out here, you want some of those encounters, but be prepared to be safe. Learn how to be encountering that wildlife and how to be safe around it. What about getting to know people? In a smaller town, is it going to be harder? Well, I don't know about you, but I think in general, it has pretty much gotten harder to get to know people in a lot of ways, in a lot of places. As we've moved toward being phone-centric and social media-centric, it's gotten harder in general. However, there are some perks about being in a smaller town. Now, the population in Evergreen runs about 10,000 people, so it is certainly not so small town that everyone's gonna know your business. It would be very hard for 10,000 people to know all about who you are and what you're doing every day. But because there are so many small businesses up here, as you continue to find the ones that you frequent, you're gonna get to know who owns it, who's working the same shift every week, and you have the opportunity to get connected on a different level than you might ever have in the city that you've been in. So that does help in terms of building those relationships. If you're gonna have kids in school, there's always that connection. And then there are the hobby groups. There's big hiking groups up here, multiple ones of those, arts, crafts groups, sports, fitness. So the fact that we're in a smaller community, those groups I think are gonna be more lively and more helpful to building relationships. The other thing to realize is this community, this area, the Foothills, is oriented toward people that do want to get up here, live off the grid, and hermit themselves away in little houses in the woods on land away from people. So you are certainly going to see a good chunk of that up here as well. And if you're one of those, you're gonna fit right in if that's what you choose to do. Stay tuned for next week's video. We're gonna talk about homes, home sizes, prices, what it takes if you're gonna live on septic, on well. We're gonna talk about property taxes and more about living in Evergreen. Hey, I will see y'all next week.